To talk more about that, in studio I've got James Magayi, a football journalist who writes a lot about the Kenyan Premier League, also a member of the SJAC panel that decides on the player of the month and the coach of the month. Karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, how did you receive Tusker FC winning the trophy? Of course, there's a lot of talk about it ending towards, the last 2 matches of the season, whether it would be Gor Mahia or Tusker FC, and then it became Tusker.
Well, I saw it coming at the end of first leg when Gor Mahia were docked 3 points.
Yes.
Tusker is a big club.
Yes.
If you give them a leeway, they are likely not to get out of the top. And by the federation docking 3 points from Gor Mahia,
yes,
Tusker took it on and they've never let it go.
Yes.
Since then. So step by step, Paul Nkata is also an experienced coach. He's been winning all the crucial matches.
Yes.
He's been drawn back by a few draws here and there.
Yes.
But being a smart and experienced coach, he has maintained the top up until now.
Yes.
And it was just a matter of time before they are crowned.
You talk about, them taking the opportunity when Gor were docked points. And again, you mentioned the critical issues of draws and losses here and there. Only 3 losses for them by there, as we'll see in the numbers. Was it so much of a given after Gor Mahia were docked points that Tusker would become champions?
Well, it was a psychological blow for Gor Mahia to lose 3 points.
Yes.
In that manner, remember, the game that led to the docking was against Tusker. Tusker won a controversial penalty and scored from it. But despite Gor Mahia losing 3 points from that game, the federation went ahead and took another 3. That was like 6 points drawback for Gor Mahia.
Exactly.
It was a psychological blow. They went ahead and played several draws at the start of second leg, which injured their 2016 campaign.
Yes.
Remember, they had won it 3 times in a row, and it was a given that they might defend it for a 4th time.
Yes.
But after that, they were never the same Gor Mahia again.
All right, let's look at the numbers now. The Kenyan Premier League, the top 3, and this is now Tusker FC, Gor Mahia and Chemelil, the top 3, as it stands on 29 matches played so far. As you can see the numbers there, Tusker have played 29, won 16, drawn 10, lost 3, and the goals for, they've scored 39 goals, goals against 25, goal difference is 14, and the points are 58. And this is critical because they could go to 61 if they beat Gor Mahia in the final match today. Let's have a look and especially at the losses, the wins and the losses compared to Gor Mahia. Look at 16, 15, just 1, the difference of 1. Again, losses here. Gor Mahia have lost just 2.
Well, it's said that good strikers win you matches, but good defenses win you titles.
Yes.
Tusker's defense has been mean by letting in just 3 losses.
Yes.
But Gor Mahia's defense has been meaner by letting in. But if you look at the goals scored for Tusker, they've scored 4 more goals than Gor Mahia.
Yes.
Although their defense has been a bit leaky, they've let in 12 more goals than Gor Mahia. All the same, by losing just 3 games, they've lifted the title. It's a miracle, actually, considering how they dropped points. With 10 draws in a 30-match league, it is very difficult to win the league with 10 draws. But their closest challengers drew more. They had 12 more draws. Luckily for Tusker, their high-scoring strikers won it for them.
Including Alan Wanga, by the way, who came back. We'll be talking about that. But look at number 3, Chemelil. 10 points away from Gor Mahia in second place. So pretty much the title was between Tusker and Gor. Yeah, and
Chemelil was a surprise team this season. Remember last season they were almost teetering on the brink of relegation.
Yes.
This season they've had a new coach and they've surprised many by storming to the podium.
Yes.
Although the 3rd position is still up for grabs, up to number 7 could still jump into the podium. All right,
All right, we've also got Sean Cardovillis and of course Isaac Swila, a Daily Nation sports journalist who writes a lot about the Kenyan Premier League as well, to talk us through this. When you look at the numbers, Sean and Swila, it's so close, so close to the point that we had to wait for the last 2 matches to see who wins the Premier League.
Yeah, it has been really, really close. We'll talk about that. Of course, Isaac Swila here with me. Isaac, you've been really looking at this in detail in terms of the league. They've spoken about those 3 points. Just your thoughts on that, the 3 points that were docked.
As my good friend James says, I think it was a big blow to Kogalo because once you win the league title 3 times back-to-back, you really want to maybe go a step further and win it a 4th time. And had Gor done so, they would have been the first team to score such a feat. Unfortunately, they won't because they lost it to Tusker. But again, it's not a matter of the 3 points, because if I look at Kogalo we had this term, it's not the same Kogalo or anywhere close to the Kogalo we had last term. And I would go ahead and say they didn't deserve to be champions. That's why they're not champions, in my view.
Not only that, the beginning of the season as well was very, very difficult for Kogalo.
I must agree, a very, very shaky start, which was not really good. When Natal was there, we thought they could go the full length. As Maria came, he blew hot and cold, more so at the beginning of the second leg. 5 draws on the bounce, that was his greatest undoing. And when they woke up, it was already too late. We saw those 2 wins recently, but the title was already decided. But again, if you look at that table, Tusker winning the title with the 10 draws, again, it tells you the other teams were really not up for it. And in my view, I don't think this is a league title nobody wanted, not even Tusker. Yes, they're champions, we must congratulate them, but in my view, I think even Tusker didn't deserve this award. Last time, Gor won it with 78 points. That was mind-blowing. As we speak, Tusker have 58 points. That's a 20-point gap. So it tells you the gulf in depth and pedigree and quality we had in a champion of last term and a champion whom we are about to crown in a few hours' time.
All right, Edmond, you've been hearing about that 20-point gap.
Yes.
That's huge from last season. Huh?
Let's go on with the numbers. And we were tallying the winning points from the year 2010 to 2016, the past 6 seasons, James. Ulinzi Stars won in 2010, 59 points. 2011, it was Tusker, 58 points. 2012 again, Tusker, 60 points. Gor Mahia, 60 points in 2013. 2014, 60 points, Gor Mahia. 2015, the highest in the recent past, 78 points. Tusker could win with 61 points. So we see an average of 60 points in the last six seasons.
Well, the tally is rightfully summarized by most of these foreign coaches who come and look at the records and say, I only need 55 points.
Yes.
And then I'll stand a chance of winning the Premier League in Kenya. And if you look at what happened last season is phenomenal.
Yes.
Actually, it's the reason why this season champions are looked at as underwhelming.
Yes.
Gor Mahia set the bar too high.
Yes.
They only dropped 12 points. They got 78 out of a possible 90.
Yes.
So it's a one-off performance.
Exactly.
I didn't expect it this time. This
And
year
mind you, they won without dropping a game.
They didn't lose any game. They drew 6 matches
Yes.
and dropped 12 points as a result.
Mm-hmm.
So this season, coming back, Tusker could possibly get to 61, but it would still be deemed as an underwhelming performance based on last year's performance.
So let's put it into perspective. It's a possible 90 points because you played 30 matches.
Yeah, you played 30 matches.
Times 3, that is 90 points.
That
And see how the difference, a difference of 30 points on average.
Well, it tells you last year, rather this year, Tusker took us back to the norm.
Yes.
We
We are
used to
exactly
58, 59, 60. 58, 59, 60. Gor Mahia took it into another level, and Tusker has just brought it back to where it used to be.
Will we ever see again a situation where we have much better points than, say, 60? Or,
Well, we could,
yes.
if clubs invest in the technical bench. Remember the Gor Mahia team that amongst 78 points had 12 members of the technical bench. They had 3 fitness trainers. They had a very good pre-season, and they started winning from the onset.
Yes.
This time round, they didn't have a pre-season. They celebrated too much after winning the treble.
Yes. All right. So Sean and Swila, an average of 60 points from the last 6 or so seasons. Looking at the tally of the winning tally of the points that we've had for the winners in the past 6 editions. I don't know how you look at this. Are we, averaging because it's always the same level every season?
Yeah, that's very interesting. We've seen it in a number of leagues across Europe and all, and it seems to be appearing here as well. You were talking about nobody necessarily wanting to win the league, but could it be a case that it's becoming more competitive?
Well, not necessarily, because if you look at the Kenyan Premier League, the last 5 titles also has exchanged hands between Gor Mahia and Tusker, yeah? Before Tusker won it 3 on the bounce, it's Tusker that had won it twice. And right now, again, it's Tusker. So, statistically speaking, you would argue the best 2 clubs in the last 5 years has been Gor Mahia followed by Tusker. But again, you look at the quality, the kind of players Gor Mahia had in their rank last term. And you look and compare with what we have this term. Olunga, for instance, scoring 19 league goals. You look at Medi Kagere augmenting him. You had Ali Abondo, who was also coming in with some good goals from dead ball situations. You look at that midfield and the defense we had. Then you come and compare the kind of squad they have now. Well, Jack Tuyisenge is there, Kagere is there, but it's not the same Kagere we had last time. He's struggling to get goals. Jack Tuyisenge, after scoring 8 goals, they suddenly dried up. So you look at it, and again, the kind of tactical formation, Zimaria took time before he could know who to deploy where. It played a part. Then you come and look at Tusker. Yes, there was depth. There were injuries. Somebody like Eugenia Sike struggling with injuries. You look at a number of key players who didn't really play well. You look at Owusu, mainly used as a second striker. Alan Wang, of course, coming, helped them with 4 goals and a number of assists. But again, you look at the other teams. Are they really rising to come and claim or have a bite at the cherry? They're not doing so. So I won't really say that the Kenyan Premier League is very, very competitive. Far from it. The quality is wanting. Why do I say so? Every season we send our best to continental football. But what progress do they make? Nothing really to smile about. Gor Mahia were kicked out at the second hurdle. Probably Tusker won't go past the first stage. So these are the questions we really need to ask ourselves. How good is our league? How well do we groom our players? How well do we invest in the youngsters? And where do we want to go forward? We never think that. Because I can assure you, after today, when the league is ended, we are going to close shop, wait for January, when clubs return for pre-season. So it has a pull-down effect on our clubs. And something the league body must look at, is something the federation must look at, and the clubs must wake up. Right now we are talking about CAF club licensing. Yeah, they must put their house in order. If we don't do so, we will continue to be the whip boys in the continent.
Very, very interesting. We are hearing about the quality of the league, and we'll talk about the relegation in just a moment. But it's interesting to note, you still got some more statistics, huh?
Yes, Sean, we are looking at now the top 5 winners over the years. And interestingly, Gor Mahia have won the most number of times, 15. The last time they won it was last year, that is 2015. Followed by FC Leopards, 13 times, won it last in the year 1998. And then down there we have Ulinzi Stars 4 times, last time in 2010. So look at the top 4 teams. We know the names. They are the ones who keep winning this thing over and over, James.
Well, it depends on how much the clubs invest in the teams.
Yes.
Before Gor Mahia got their last 3 titles,
yes,
they had last won it in 1995.
Yes.
Now we are looking at an FC Leopards that is blowing hot and cold. They last won it in 1998, but with the better investment, they could storm the party next season.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
they have a new coach now.
Yeah, they have a new coach. They have a new administration.
Yes.
And
sponsors as well.
And new sponsors as well. Tusker and Ulinzi have always been there because of the consistency they have from their sponsors.
Yes.
And I actually expect Ulinzi to have had more titles than the 4 they have. But next season, I believe we are going to have a more interesting league because Gor Mahia up there, FC Leopards are coming up. Tusker will always be there, and Ulinzi Stars.
Exactly. All right, let's look at something else, and this is the relegation battle. Of course, one team has been relegated, and we wait for the matches of today to be able to establish who else joins them. And then that debate that we've had about how many teams will be relegated, as we wait for that graphic. Of course, City Stars has gone down, and a very interesting story about City Stars because they've survived this thing for some time.
They are the proverbial cats with 9 lives. Unfortunately, this year their 9 lives has run out.
Yes.
But it's interesting how Sofapaka
from grace to grass,
fall from grace to grass.
Yes.
In 2009, they won the league.
Yes.
At some point, they were leading the table by 17 points.
Yes.
Then they eventually went on and won it.
Yes.
And the past 5 seasons, actually, ever since they got promoted, they've always been in the top 5.
Yes.
Last year, they were 3rd. This year, they are fighting for lifeline. It's so shocking. It's so amazing how a club can fall that fast. But Ushuru do not just belong to the top flight.
Okay.
You don't find a team
Why
that
so?
loses.
Why so? They have the money as well.
They have the money. It is state-owned, but you don't lose 7 matches in a row and expect to stay with the big boys.
Yes.
To me, they don't just belong
So
to
how
the
does
top
it
flight.
end up? City Stars.
Well, if they manage to draw against Posta Rangers, they'll stay. They'll survive the league.
Yes.
If they lose and Sofapaka wins, Sofapaka have 6 more goals than them.
Yeah.
Sofapaka have a better goal difference of 6 than Ushuru.
All right.
So if Ushuru loses and Sofapaka wins, then we'll have Sofapaka next season and we'll bid farewell to Ushuru.
All right. Let's have a look at the graphic of the matches that we are meant to have today, because all of them kick off at 3 p.m. today, the season-ending matches of the league, 8 matches across different parts of the country as well. All right. As we look for that, I believe then it all ends at the Nyayo National Stadium.
Well, focus is on 3 venues. Nyayo National Stadium, where Tusker will be crowned champions.
Yes.
Kasarani, where Ushuru are fighting for a lifeline. And Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos, where Sofapaka also looking for another lease of life in next season's top flight league.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sean and Swila, relegation battle?
Yeah, interesting. You were mentioning the matches. I'll just tell them they are at 3 o'clock. Ulinzi Stars against Bandari. That's at the Afraha Stadium. Posta Rangers against Ushuru at Kasarani. AFC Leopards against Muhoroni Youth at the Mumias Complex. Chemilil Sugar against Mathari United. That's at the Chemilil. Sofapaka against Thika United. Very, very important match this. Western Steamer against KK Homeboys. That's at the Moy Stadium. And then City Stars against Sony Sugar in Roraka. Isaac, just very quickly, I know you have to go to the Nyayo National Stadium,
Right.
but the relegation battle, that's very interesting because you've been following the saga very, very closely, 16 against 18. It looks like we could have 4 coming up into the Premier League for next season.
Yeah, certainly not. Maybe not, because the debate is going to wear on as the days go. We know KPL has strongly stuck to their guns on a 16-team league. Federation is having none of it. They're saying it has to go 18. Don't forget.
I think this time, though, it looks like he's really putting his foot down, Nick Mwendwa. He seems to have FIFA really firmly on his side.
But don't forget, last week they had a round-table meeting that was meant to deliberate on this matter and possibly strike a way forward. And that meeting ended without arriving at any other solution, because KPL have insisted we are not going to pull out our case from the tribunal. That's despite FIFA guidelines, will draw the case. And each side, as I said, have stuck to their guns. We don't know what might transpire in the next coming days or months, but I foresee a situation where the federation is going to flex its muscles and have its way. Don't forget the leagues, all the respective leagues in the world over, are actually affiliated to the federations. Yeah, they are owned by the federations. So KPL is just running the league on a delegated mandate, so to speak. And we've seen KPL quote the Cairo Declaration. They've quoted the MOU. But by and large, all these agreements they might have signed, they are subordinate to the FIFA statutes. So if you stick to the law, follow the rules of the game, we could have an 18-team league next term, as you've predicted.